Something like this. It was early on a Friday morning. A teenage boy woke up. He heard something from outside his bedroom window. He lived in a big city. The sun hadn't even rose. The smog and the haze. As he opened his window to see what the noise was, he heard a sound. It didn't belong in the city. As he looked, he saw a man pushing an old cart, and the man was singing in the morning thick, smoggy air. Rags, rags, trade your old for new. Rags, rags, trade your old for new. This man was tall, 6'5", arms like tree branches. He looked like Thor before the last movie, if you know what I'm talking about, all right? All of a sudden, the boy decided, I got to see what this is about. So he grabbed his clothes like he had snuck out before. He snuck out of his house and he followed the man. As he got in the alley to follow the man stopped, put his old cart down, reached in the cart full of these brand new shiny rags and pulled out a handkerchief. The handkerchief was so shiny, it was like lace with gold stitching. And he looked in a backyard. There was a woman on the back porch of her house, and this woman was crying and weeping so violently that she had a handkerchief. Her face was in the handkerchief. Her shoulders were shaking. She was crying so hard. And the ragman walked in her backyard, walked up to her and said, Rags, trade your old for new. And the craziest thing happened. As she took his shiny new handkerchief and put it to her face, her tears stopped. And as he took her handkerchief and put it by his face, he began to weep violently, stumbling back to his cart, chanting, Rags! Rags! Weeping and crying. Then he saw something hiding in the trash at the end of the alley. In between the trash cans was a teenage girl. Her head was wrapped in a bandage. There was one trickle of blood going down her cheek. He walked over, put his cart down, moved some of the brand new cloths, and found a brand new bonnet. It was beautiful. He looked at her and said, Rags, rags, trade your old for new. She was looking at him, but it was like she wasn't there. How do I explain this? It was like the lights were on, but nobody's home. Y'all get what I'm saying? She had been through something so traumatic. She was living, but she wasn't living. He gave her the bonnet. With a blank look, she took it. He began to unwrap the bandages from her head. He put the bonnet, and as she blinked and shook her head, and it was like everything came back to her. She looked at him and said, thank you. And that's when it happened. He started putting her bandage on his head. And as he did, one trickle of blood came down his cheek, then another and another. And then he began to bleed from his head so violently that the teenage boy following him started going, oh my goodness. And he stumbled back, still crying and weeping. Now he's bleeding. He grabs his cart. He starts to push it down the street. She waves goodbye to him, saying thank you. And he begins to say, Rags! Rags! Trade your old for new! Rags! Rags! Trade your old for new! Then that's when everything changed. There was a man, as the sun rose, leaning against a light pole. As he was leaning there, the ragman came up. He didn't ask him to give him his rag. He asked this question. Sir, Are you going to work today? Sir, are you going to work today? The man turned his back to him and kind of mumbled, leave me alone. The man leaning against the light pole had both hands in each pocket. Then the ragman changed. He asked this, Sir, give me your coat. Give me your coat. And the man said, what is wrong with you? Just leave me alone. He goes, sir, no. Give me your coat. And everybody's got to look at me. Everybody look at Reggie, look at Reggie. The man said, fine. And what the man did was crazy. He took his left arm and let the coat fall off his left shoulder. He pulled his arm out, grabbed the coat on the right side, and pulled it off. The reason he did that was simple. The man had no right arm. The sleeves were just stuck in his pocket to make it look like he was normal, to make it appear he was normal. But he wasn't normal. He was broken. He was just trying